One of the things you talked about in the green room was kind of cool, and I'm intrigued because we haven't talked about this offline, so I get to hear it live with you guys. But how to have a presence on, I'm guessing, on social media, and how to have a presence, but without being present. What does that mean, and how do you even do that?
Well, yeah, you might be thinking, like, is that even possible to have an
Right,
impact on social media without having to show up every single day, constantly posting, whether it's on your feed or in your stories? And does having a strong presence mean that I have to live on it, right? Like, and I think that that's what the perception of really everyone is as far as how social media is designed to work. But in my opinion, the challenge really lies in the balancing act of the authentic side of us, and the strategic business content that we post. And if we do a good job at having both of those things, we can wake up every morning to a multitude of messages of conversations that are coming in, and people being able to confidently reach out to us without us having to reach out to them, which ultimately is what we all want, right? We all want to just wake up to an inbox full of messages of people saying, "Can we hire you?" Like, duh, everybody wants that. But the
right.
reality is, how do we do that? So having a presence without being physically present is ties into one of the other things that I think we were going to start talking about, which is the phases of social content, or the phases of social prospecting. And I call it
Right.
Instagram prospecting specifically, but phase one is content, right? So what are you posting? What does it sound like? And then ultimately, what does it look like? So phase one is how you are able to eventually have a presence without having to physically be present every single day. So in phase one, we have to have a solid understanding of what are we posting? What does it sound like? And then ultimately, what does it look like, right? So that's the aesthetic aspect. And if we do a good job there, then when we couple that with phase two, which is prospecting. So prospecting is your outbound effort, right? Not your passive prospecting. Phase one is also passive in that sense, right? Because we're just posting or producing, and waiting for someone to reach out to us, or waiting for someone to contact us directly, as opposed to the alternative. So in phase two, I love that you said like pouring gas on it, because that's what I say. I say, if phase one is a well-oiled machine and you're producing really well there, and then you start figuring out how to do phase two, which is outbound prospecting, it's like pouring gas on an already existing fire, right? Because your content is valuable, your content is authentic, your content is personal. And in doing those things, you now are talking to people and outbound creating new conversations with people that you don't already know. So now people are coming back to your content, and your content that is hopefully evergreen, right? If you do it correctly, it's going to
Right.
live
Right.
there forever. It's going to produce the presence, or build your personal quote unquote brand. I hate that phrase, but it's going to build your personal brand without you having to do anything, right? So I wake up and I'll have messages on YouTube, or I'll have DMs in my inbox, or I'll just wake up and look at my email and have 4 or 5 people that have scheduled a call. And did I have to go outbound prospect them? Nope. Right? All I had to do was produce content in phase one, and then in phase two, do a handful of outbound prospecting, which for me is getting on podcasts, doing webinars, things of that nature, right? Which then create the inbound, where my presence allows for me to not have to physically be in my Instagram all day, every day. So does that make sense, Ryan?
Yeah, I want to unpack something a little further, though. Devil's in the details. You skipped right over it. You and I have talked about it in our short relationship already, and you made some really good points when we spoke about it. But I think it's one of the biggest gaps, and also opportunities for realtors and lenders, is have a strategy behind the content. You know, we were kind of the OG video marketing guys, so we traveled the nation talking about how to do video marketing, blah, blah, blah. But one of the biggest things we say, like, you're not creating a video just to create a video.
Uh-uh.
There's a so that. And for you, your so that is like, so that you start a conversation. And a lot of your social media posts are exactly that. It's not just post and pray and hope and pray. I'm posting this and I'm crafting a message. This is very smart, 201, 301 video marketing, so that somebody wants to reach out to me and connect and DM with me. Can you unpack that a little bit further? Because I think that's a
Absolutely.
huge gap in the industry right now.
Absolutely. So how many mortgage or real estate talking heads do we both know, right? Meaning they get on camera and they're posting the same thing that every other realtor or every other loan officer is talking about. Conforming loan limits went up. Here's a market update.
Right.
Like, here's the top 5 listings in my area. Like, boring. I'm sorry, but it's boring, right? So the way that I teach this is, people have said the 3 C's in various forms, but these are my version of the 3 C's. And I hope that this resonates, and I hope that it lands, which is, first and foremost, your content is designed to connect. So if I can connect on a personal level, and I have a story here, but if I can connect with someone personally or create a feeling where someone feels heard or feels seen in the content that I'm producing, then they are more likely and more confident in reaching out and having a conversation with me. So they're more likely to want to, and they're more confident in doing so, right? Like I've gotten so many messages from people who have said, Michelle, like you're a lot, like you're a really big high D personality, like you seem very intimidating, but like I watched that video and I just realized like we're the same. And I'm like, we are the same. I just have a lot of energy. And I just am a bulldog, right? Like that's just who I am. My husband loves that so much. But haha. But the reality is that I focus so much on connection first, because if I connect with someone and I make the other person on the other side of that screen feel very seen and very heard, then they are more likely to conversate with me, right? Meaning they're more likely to send me the message. They're more likely to want to jump on my calendar and have a call. But in doing so, I know that I cannot create conversion if I'm not having a crap ton of conversations, right? Connection happens first, conversations happen second, conversations come out of the connection, and then my conversion happens because I'm really good at talking to people and I'm just myself, right? If you ever meet me in real life, Ryan, which I hope we get to sooner versus later, I am 5'3" and that's it. Like, but I am exactly who I am right now in
You
real
come
life.
off way taller on camera. I thought you were like 6 foot, to be honest with you.
That's what
funny.
everybody says to me. They're like, holy
Maybe it's
moly,
just the
you're
good
so
posture.
small.
I don't know.
Literally every person that I haven't met in real life, when they do meet me, they say the same thing. They're like, wow, we really imagined you a lot taller. But when we're talking about connection, right, one of the things that I'm super passionate about is outbound prospecting on Instagram. That's my love language. That is like my superpower. But how do you make someone care, right? How do you make someone want to even have that conversation? And great example is when I got back from Mastermind a few weeks ago, Renee gave us a 90-day challenge. The 90-day challenge was related to going live on Instagram for 90 days straight, right? I'm not going to go live on the weekends. I'm not on my phone on the weekends, but I'm going live Monday through Friday like clockwork. And yesterday, or 2 days ago, actually, I was like, what am I going to go live about today? And in the moment, I realized, holy moly, I had a mom morning, and I just got to share this with the world because there's going to be so many people that can resonate. And the story is, I walked in on my son, who he wakes up at 6:30 on the dot every morning like clockwork. We are hardcore sleep trainers in my world. And it's been a godsend for us. But he's almost 3. And I walked in on him and he had the huge smile on his face. He was very happy. And there was poop, Ryan, literally everywhere. Like he had taken his diaper off. He had chucked it across the bedroom. There was a giant pile of poop next to the side of the crib.
Oh my
all
God.
over the crib, all over the sheets. And I just looked at him and I love being a mom. Like truly it is the most amazing thing for me. But I walked in and I was like, I can't even be mad at this kid because I'm dumbfounded as to what I just walked in on. Never once in his entire life has he ever done this. But right there in the moment that was happening, when I knew I had to go live that day, I immediately said to myself, that's it. Why? Because how many other parents have walked in on this with their kids? Now, did I talk about Instagram prospecting, and did I talk about why I'm going live on Instagram, and did I allude to some other things that I have coming up and some events that I want people to come be a part of? Yeah, for sure. Right. But I connected first and I said, hey, where are all my boy moms at? Because holy frick.
Yeah.
Right. My husband even was like, sorry, babe, I'm really happy that you're the one that had to deal with that though. And I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I would have been too.
But the reality, right, is like how many of us get on Instagram or get on Facebook and we talk about mortgages or we talk about real estate, and it's the same thing every single day. How many of us get on Instagram and say, hey, I walked in on my son literally covered in poop, top to bottom. And like I have white carpet, Ryan. Like just imagine
the
rest of my morning and what that looks like.
This visual's awful.
Right? But like how many people get on Instagram and start talking about that and then talk about who they actually or what they're actually trying to do for a living, right? Because one of the things that a mutual friend of ours, Neil Ford, I think Neil is just a phenomenal human being, but one of the things that he said to me that really resonated with me was people don't remember data the way that they remember stories, right? So could you tell the story of Little Pigs from when we were kids? Of course you could, right? Do you remember the exact date of when you had your first birthday party or your 5th birthday party, or what day of the week was your 12th birthday party? Like, no, people don't remember that stuff, right? But you'll remember, oh yeah, but I had a Cars themed birthday party
Right.
because you remember
Yeah.
the story behind it. So when I'm trying to get people into understanding what I do for a living, I have to connect with them first. And I have to make them feel, I know I've said this before, but I have to make them feel seen and I have to make them feel heard. And quite honestly, there's not enough of that in the mortgage and real estate space because everything is accolade, accolade, accolade. Look how awesome I am. But the reality is that's not why I'm going to hire you in the first place.